Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into an ancient, incredibly sharp toolkit for spotting bad arguments, tearing down false premises, and, well, uncovering the truth. It's called Tarka. It's this foundational system in classical Indian logic, and honestly, it's a total game changer. If you've ever felt like an argument was just spinning in circles or totally disconnected from reality, Tarka is the exact philosophical framework that pinpoints why. Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap. We're going to cover 1. The foundation of inference. 2. The 5 rules of Tarka. 3. Fallacies and broken arguments. And 4. The true purpose of Tarka. Section 1. The foundation of inference. The building blocks of proof. Let's get right into it. So think about this. How do you actually prove a fire you can't see? Picture yourself looking at a massive mountain way off in the distance, and there's smoke just billowing up from the peak. You literally can't see the flames, but you just know there's a fire, right? This everyday, super practical need to prove the unseen, using what we can see, is the absolute bedrock of formal inference. And that brings us to this absolutely crucial concept, Vyapti. It essentially means invariable concomitance, which is really just a fancy way of describing a universal, completely unbreakable relationship between a reason, like that smoke we just talked about, and what you actually want to prove, which is the fire. Without this fixed relationship, you simply cannot make a valid inference. It just doesn't work. Now, to genuinely prove something, you've got to look at 3 specific instances. First up is the Paksha. This is our subject, so the mountain where we're trying to prove the fire exists. Then we have the Sapakaksha, a similar instance where we already know both smoke and fire exist together, like, say, a smoky kitchen. And finally, we absolutely must have a Vipakaksha. This is a contrary instance where we know for sure the thing does not exist, like a lake. A lake has no fire, and therefore no smoke. This trio essentially locks in our proof. Moving on to Section 2, the 5 rules of Tarka. Inference for refutation. Okay, so what exactly is Tarka? Also known as Anumana, it's an inference used specifically for the refutation of an opponent's argument. And here's the kicker. Tarka isn't just about casually making a point. It's a highly formalized, heavily targeted method designed to completely trap an opponent in an inescapable, totally undesirable conclusion, based purely on their own faulty logic. There are 5 essential criteria here, the Panchangani, that strictly guarantee a valid refutation. First, we need Vyapti, that fixed, unbreakable relationship we talked about. Second is non-refutability, meaning the argument literally cannot be overturned by a stronger counter-argument. Third is the undesirability of the result. Fourth, it must result in discarding the valid. And fifth, unfounded imagination. Let's look at exactly how this traps an opponent. Really think about the implications of this statement. If there is no fire, then there is no smoke. Right? If your opponent stubbornly denies there's a fire on that mountain, we force them to accept the logical conclusion, well, if no fire, then no smoke. But they are literally standing there looking right at the smoke. We force them to deny what's right in front of their own eyes. It's just a brilliant trap. And this feeds right into the 4th rule, discarding established facts. A bad argument inevitably forces an opponent to just throw away reality. They either have to discard what is physically seen through direct perception, or they discard a perfectly valid logical inference, or they have to discard established scriptural testimony. Basically, their bad argument forces them to completely break reality. Section 3. Fallacies and broken arguments. When reasoning breaks. Let's look at 2 major logical fallacies. First is Atma Shraya, or self-dependence. This is an argument that relies entirely on itself to even exist. For example, loudly proclaiming that knowledge itself is the cause of knowledge. I mean, it sounds super deep, right? But it doesn't actually explain a single thing. On the flip side, we have anavasta, or infinite regress. This is an argument that endlessly requires another reason, and then another reason, literally stretching into infinity without ever actually reaching a final conclusion. Neither of these is going to get you to the truth. Now, these fallacies can also build into loops. Let's compare anyanyashraya, which is mutual dependence, with chakrakashraya, or cyclic dependence. Mutual dependence is basically a 2-part loop where object A absolutely requires object B, but object B requires object A. Neither can be established without the other. Cyclic dependence is the exact same concept, but stretched out into a multi-step sequence. So A causes B causes C, and C causes A. It just circles right back to the start. I absolutely love the example provided in the source text for mutual dependence because it highlights the pure absurdity of these loops. Get this. A person's madness is cured by marriage, but marriage is only possible if the madness is cured. You can just see the trap right there. Actually, it's kind of funny, but it perfectly highlights how incredibly easy it is to get caught in a completely unresolvable logical loop where you can literally never take the first step. To wrap up our look at fallacies, here are two final ways human reasoning just totally breaks down. First is superfluous imagination. This is a crucial warning for all of us. Avoid adopting highly complex, completely unfounded assumptions when a much simpler, direct explanation is sitting right in front of you. Seriously, don't overcomplicate it. And finally, pure absurdity. This is when an argument directly contradicts visible facts. It's pretty much the ultimate failure in human logic. Section 4. The true purpose of Tarka. Supporting the truth. The crucial point here really represents the profound conclusion of the philosopher Jayatirtha. Tarka is an anugrahaka, a supporter. It is absolutely not an independent source of truth on its own. Instead, it perfectly supports the primary ways we already know things. It supports perception by removing doubts about what we're physically seeing. It supports inference by strengthening the relationship between things like our fire and smoke. And it supports scripture by clarifying the true intent of the texts. It's the anchor. It holds reality steady. Which leaves us with this final thought. If Tarka is meant to perfectly support the truth by ruthlessly cutting away bad logic and false assumptions, what logical fallacies are currently hiding in your own arguments? Think about the infinite regresses or the mutual dependencies you might be relying on in your daily life. Use this ancient toolkit, spot the smoke, and find the real fire. Thanks for diving into this explainer with me, and keep learning.